Okay, I figured I'd get more in depth about what happened actually, instead of cutting the camera off fast because I was running out of memory. Anyway, about me changing my YouTube channel, I don't know, people just kept saying, sending me weird comments and stuff. So I figured I'd change up and get a new one because since I had that one for like 2 years or however long I had it. Another thing, I remember before I was talking about him going to the doctor, and I know y'all were like, why is she always going? Ew. Ew, nasty. He just spit out. I remember. See, we were just about to speak about this, and you just right on time. Anyway, I know you was like, why is she going to the doctor so much? Well, I wasn't going a lot, but at that time, I was always going. What happened was that we went to the doctor, and she asked me all these questions as normal, how much does he eat, blah blah blah, and she got to spit up, and she said, does he spit up? And I said, yeah, and she said, how often does he spit up? And I told her, and then she said, has it increased? Is it more than a teaspoon? I said, yeah, it's more than a teaspoon. So she said, okay, being it's more than a teaspoon, we're going to take his, some urine from him because it could be a urinary tract infection, which I found to be a little bit odd, but I found it odd because he wasn't running a fever or whatever. But, from what she told me, he can have an infection and not run a fever. So, anyway, they took urine from him. Now, the way they did it, they took a bag and they put it around his little wee wee. And they took urine from him. So then 2 days later, I came back, which was on a Saturday, and I had a big problem on Saturday because I walked in, and I wasn't supposed to walk in, but I walked in, and they didn't want to see me. So the doctor's not taking any walk-ins, but I'm telling them she told me to come back. The same old same, rude receptionist or whatever. But anyway, I went back to the doctor on Saturday, and she seen him, and she said, "Okay, I'm gonna send you to the emergency room because there's a little bit of bacteria in his urine. It's just a little bit, but we're gonna send you there, and they're gonna use a catheter and take urine from him." So they sent me to the hospital, which is the worst place to go, the emergency room, and I was there. I got there at 6 o'clock, and you know, you would think they would see him fast. I'm not saying that we should have special privileges, but because at the time he was only 4 weeks old, you would think they would, okay, let's see him, because he's 4 weeks old. Let's get him out of the emergency room with all these people around him coughing and stuff. But no, they didn't. So he was sitting there. And then finally, a nurse came out and she said, "What is his name?" And I told him his name. And she said, "Oh, come," because the doctor had already called for me. So we went in. They took urine from him using a catheter. And funny thing is, he didn't cry. He was just grunting because he was half asleep. They took urine from him, and then the doctor told me they did it wrong at the clinic. They wasn't supposed to take urine from him using the bag. They were supposed to use a catheter because he's in a diaper. Bacteria is in the diaper. No matter how many times you use a wipey to wipe it, there's always gonna be bacteria in there. So they wasn't supposed to do that. So she took urine from him and she said he's fine. So then she said, "Okay, I'm gonna follow you. I'm gonna send you there in 2 days to follow up with your clinic." So I go follow up my clinic, and he's talking to y'all. What else you have to say? Next time you say excuse me, okay? So I went to the clinic 2 days later, and they she said, "Okay, we're gonna take urine from him again." So she's using the bag again. I'm explaining to her what the emergency room doctor told me, and she said, "Oh no, but it's easier this way." So they did it again, and it came back with bacteria 2 days later again. So she told me to come back in again. So I went back in again, and she wants to take urine from him again, but she wants to use a catheter. She used the catheter, but it wasn't enough urine in there. Well, she didn't know it wasn't enough, so she sent the urine from the catheter to the lab, and I came back in 2 more days, and then they said it wasn't enough urine. So she called me back in again for more urine. But when I went this time, what did they use? a bag. They used the bag, and she said, okay, come back in 2 more days. And what happened? Bacteria. So at this time, she's like, hey, we're going to take urine. We're going to use a catheter. At this time, I was fed up because, come on, now, this is ridiculous, you know. If you know, first of all, if you see that the bag, every time you take the bag, there's urine, there's bacteria in it, then you should know not to use that. And just because you wasn't, you didn't take enough urine the first time with the catheter, you're not gonna keep sticking that thing up my baby, So I changed pediatricians because obviously they didn't know what they were doing, or they were confused or whatever. So that's why I was going to the doctor so much last time, and I always knew his weight. But now we're back to our regular our regular appointments. Now he had an appointment today, but he didn't get his shots. We're gonna go back on Thursday because it was a new pediatrician. So I just wanted to feel him out. So on Thursday we have an appointment, and we're going to get shots. Yay! Yay! And that's about it. That's my life so far. And that clinic, I think they just want money because I looked at his chart, and so far he's only been here for 6 weeks, and so far his chart says that they've been paid $2,000. That's crazy. $2,000 6 weeks, and you figure every appointment is like $150. So I've been going there and going there and going there, and then when they do the lab and they do all this other stuff, it's more charges, and there's nothing wrong with him. She could never look at me and say, "Oh, he's sick." There's nothing wrong with him. I think they just wanted to swipe my card over and over and over again, and then I have to pay a co-payment. A co-payment, $25 every visit. Come on, I mean, it may not sound like a lot, but then when you look at all your visits and you add it together, and you're like, I co-paid over $400 already. You're like, okay, this is ridiculous. That's enough. So I changed doctors. She was a really nice doctor, but I don't think that she had her brains right at that moment. And the funny thing is that everybody who had their babies, because I went to a birthing class in Jamaica Hospital, and everybody who had their babies, they brought their babies to that clinic. So we were like, hey, how old's your baby? It was like a get together, but I had to leave. And most people was like, why you didn't just change your pediatrician? Because it's a big clinic. It's part of Jamaica Hospital. It's part of the hospital, but it's not at the site of the hospital. It's over by me. Bless you. They were like, why you didn't change the pediatrician? I'd rather change the whole clinic. Right, Malik? So we won't be going back there anymore. They won't be messing with my wee wee no more. Right? Taking all this urine from you. And they're like, his urine is really, really good. That's the good thing about it. Oh, yeah, you can tell me his urine is really, really good. But you can't tell me if there's bacteria in his urine or not. Or if it's from the diaper or if it's actually from his urine. But that's my life so far. This is my baby. The love of my life. He's really good during this video. And the last video. He's not like this normally during videos. So, I'm gonna remember this day. Alright, guys. Later. Oh, and he yawned. It's over.